Hello everybody, it's Wyvern here with a continuation of our Wulfrik campaign. So last time around we did manage to take Sjökraken and resecure all of Norska and kind of started beating down on the Empire as well as the vampire counts and slowly making our way southward. Crushed Middenland and for most part, I still do have one settlement here, and annihilated Nordland, made ourselves a little bit of a no-go zone in the east against the dwarves, and yeah, just slowly making our way southward, and yeah, slowly but surely growing up. So, gotta check if there's anything that I need to build over here. We're floating a lot of cash right now, though of course some of that money will have to be invested in the east here, where we're slowly but surely rebuilding everything. Unfortunately, the due to the low level of the structures here, our control isn't the greatest. Sjökraken, though, fortunately, should have pretty solid control with the fact that the corruption there is absolutely massive. So, yeah, that's pretty solid. Gonna check out what buildings I'm missing, if there are any that I'm missing. Obviously, I can add. I'll keep adding on to these structures. I'm sorry about that. Slight cough. Slowly but surely building up these pyres. I could build some space for working. I could also maybe just, I think what I'll do is I'll build an ice troll lair, just to open up space for more Fimir. Because, well, I'm not the biggest fan of Fimir Balefeans compared to just Lore of Death in general and Lore of Metal in its current iteration. It's still not the most pointless thing to do, and I'm still floating a lot of cash. So this bit of weird stack is just making its way southward slowly but surely. Wulfrik over here. I'm not entirely sure how many. I think I only have 3 armies on the field. Yeah. So. And ending turn. Fortunately, I'm not using Throg at all because the way the AI spec'd him out was absolutely atrocious, and I didn't really feel like building up his army, so or having him as a lord. So I ended up dropping him in favor of a more generic vanilla sort of, or just a vanilla Marauder Chieftain. That's definitely a bit of a problem. I definitely wish that at least legendary lords that you got from AI, you could change their level, their loadouts. It's definitely a little frustrating when you get a lord and they're all terrible. Holy moly! It looks like Altdorf is getting completely wrecked over there. I'm gonna enter raiding stance just to replenish my units here. I'm not actually at war with the Skull Smasher, so this is okay. That said, these guys might. Well, it's a very goblin-heavy army, and they are taking attrition because of low fightiness. So I'm not. And AI tends to be really bad about that. But it looks like Empire is practically non-existent in its own home base of Reichland. I'm not. Brettonia is at war with Wood Elves, who will ultimately crush Brettonia because Wood Elves are just a dominant faction. Vampire counts, well, they're far away. Empire is at war with a lot of people, practically everybody. Holy hell! Yeah, Empire definitely at war with a lot of people. I'm not entirely sure why. So. What I'm going to do is I'm going to shuffle Boogie on over north with Wulfrik and start building up a new army from scratch here in the north. So I don't really care for Fimir. Fimir are they're not a bad unit necessarily, but they're pretty slow, and generally I prefer building an army around, say, champions or backed by, for example, mammoths and skin wolves rather than the Fimir, who are, well, they have very good armor. That's probably their biggest selling point, but otherwise they're definitely a bit of in my opinion, a bit of a lackluster unit for the cost. I could recruit some merchants around, but I'm not going to bother with that. I'm going to recruit a new lord here. Recruit lord. I could recruit this guy. I'm not actually sure how this guy's spec'd. Looks like I can't actually check out how he's spec'd, so I'm just going to get a new one. I could get Sanguine, which just seems pretty solid. I'll just take that. I'm too lazy to check out all the other ones. And I'm going to shuffle over all of my low-end cheap units, I think. Even the Skin Wolves and the Chariot, because those are units I'm not really going to be using into the future. You're going to throw. I'm kind of tempted to throw the... Well... Let's see. I should probably keep a handful of hunters on board, just to have a little bit of damage out, skirmish damage. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to throw all these guys over. I'll actually even throw the Marauders over. I'm not really planning to. In the worst case, I'll just drop them in the long run, and I'll throw in some of the lower ranked berserkers as well. because most of this army is going to end up being champions and those sorts of units. I actually think I'll just keep all the Marauders on, because honestly they're a solid anti-large option, and they'll definitely be good filler units. Because I don't really care for the Marauders with throwing axes, because those are very short range. These guys will be doing a much better job of zoning away enemy cavalry and that sort of stuff. So I'm going to throw all of these units overboard into this new stack I made, and I'm going to start filling up Wulfrik's army. I can get some Marauder champs. Not going to have too many. I'm not going to field too many of them, because I do have these Berserkers here, and I mostly want... these guys are just there kind of to give me some sort of front line. I guess I'll make 3 of them and fill in the rest. I want to get Mammoths in this army, and then move sort of eastward and pick up whatever other units I need. I definitely still want those Mammoths, and I'll want to get some armored info or some great weapon armed units. So yeah. Unfortunately, the phone is ringing, and it's kind of ridiculous. Sales call as usual. So, good stuff. Alright, let's see. Rebuilding in harbor. And I think that's it. I'm gonna see if Sjoktraken can stay afloat on its own. It can, by the look of it. Well, it's not. Its growth is 0. Which is, why is it 0? Oh, it's because it doesn't have a harbor. I forget if this guy boosts growth. If he does, I might just have to leave him there. He doesn't. Yeah, then I might as well just run down south of this guy. That's unfortunate. In 10 turns though, this will be built up and it'll be okay. In the meantime, over here, things will slowly but surely progress. Kislev's doing a-okay. I'll pick up this Wulfrik along the way. I definitely want to recruit. That's actually probably another unit I should be recruiting as more Wulfrik if I can. I'm not entirely sure where that. Problem is that I'm not entirely sure where my structures for them are. I can actually recruit. No, these are shamans. I can only recruit 3 Wulfrik, which is a little unfortunate. So I'll probably go for Choleric because melee attack boosts are nice. And I think that's going to be it for this turn. Dietrichshaven's doing terrible as far as control goes, but that should be okay. And next turn I'll shuffle along the army that's camped out, that I just switched up units with Wulfrik, and I'll move them south. I think I made a bit of a mistake with Wulfrik's unit loadout. I shouldn't have really invested in those Berserker skills. I think that was definitely a bit of a waste. I would have been better off investing those points. I would have been a lot better off investing those points into either Wulfrik proper, or because now he's level 25, and it's gonna be. I'm just barely gonna get Hunter of Champions. I think this would have been definitely better off to not do this, and invest in Champions of the North to get my Marauder Champions a lot better, and perhaps invest in Juggernauts of the Sarl, because improving the melee attack on Mammoths would be huge, because Mammoths have a pretty pitiful melee attack. So this is Wulfrik's army, so I'm gonna move north and yeah, head on over here to start picking myself up some Mammoths. I'm gonna recruit 1 more unit of Marauder Champions. Not gonna go for as mentioned, we're not gonna go for the Fimir. Fimir do have a place. Unfortunately, I even think they have a purpose in quick match, but unfortunately, I'm not very comfortable using them. And generally, most of the units I've used in campaign are basically comfort picks. I feel confident with my ability to get the most out of them. And if I don't feel comfortable getting the most out of a unit, I usually just won't use it. That's my kind of solution. So Karaberg apparently does have the Knights Panther chapter house, as you can see with all these knights it has. This is a pretty cool little structure. I think it's a bit pointless in a sense, because you don't get, there's no unique Knights Panther. There goes Midland, gone. So there's no unique Knights Panther in the game. Like you have Knights of the Blazing Sun out in Talabheim if you take Talabheim, which is pretty cool, but it's definitely pretty slick. But you don't get that with I'm actually gonna, well, I'm gonna well, no, I wanna recoup my losses a little bit. Some of these guys right to the fringe here. Because eventually I think I'm just gonna take this guy and go to war with the vampire counts. Fortunately, this is a rather weak comp. It's almost all marauders and some trash units like that. Unfortunately, one of the things I definitely don't like about Norsca is that long global recruit time. Granted, you can make you can make use of outposts, and depending on if the orcs here take Altdorf, that'll actually make my life very easy because they'll either sack it or they'll raise it, and I'll just be able to pick it up the turn after. Unfortunately, though, I'm not really able to do anything here. I could. How's is Marienburg? You always gotta check. Unfortunately, Marienburg is allied with Brettonia, which could cause me some trouble. And Marienburg has several stacks there. I'm running out of things to destroy, which is a little unfortunate. At least south. I'll go after Gorsel next, I think. I'll just take this stack and this new small stack of units. The lack of great weapons is a bit of a pain. Great weapons are very, very useful, I think, to have. But fortunately, I'm still making money, and I'll be able to make some mammoths here. So, make some war. I'm not the biggest fan of the mammoths with war shrines because they're very slow. By mammoth standards, and the plus 10 leadership isn't that important in my opinion. I'd much rather just have the slightly reduced upkeep and throwing javelins. And it's actually not even slightly reduced upkeep; it's actually a 50-point difference, which is pretty big when you're running multiple mammoths. So I'm gonna get a lot of mammoths. I could get some chariots or some marauder horsemen or any of that stuff, but I don't really feel inclined to do that. Those aren't units I particularly care for. I really do wish I had one more recruiting slot here, but I don't. I think I'm actually just. I still need this, but I don't actually need this. I'm gonna scrap the Runa stables because honestly they're a waste of space. And I'll build a different structure. That I'll probably build a plunder hall. I do have the Skin Wolf or Werkin done. You know what? Forget it. I'll just have a bunch of mammoths. I'll build 6 mammoths. It's fine. I wasn't going to, but that's okay. I'll get more space for more Werkin. If I can, the more and more Werkin I can unlock, the better. Aceling's Conclave. Well, let's see. I definitely want to check out what I can build here, but it doesn't seem to be very much. I still the main thing is I want to max out how many Werkin I can put on the field. This place is taking a while to level up, obviously, and over here, not too much going on. I think I could actually pack the Skin Wolf up at this point. Actually, no, he's increasing the control by a lot, so I can't. I'm gonna run south though, and I'll throw the Skin Wolf back in that army as soon as I can. So Deadly Fangs, improving his melee attack. I'm just gonna make this Skin Wolf as strong as I can in close quarters. I don't know if he actually has. Oh, never mind, he has weapons. So cool. I was a little surprised. I'm wondering if Kislev is going to become, because Kislev's always had its own set of. Kislev's always had its own set of unique structures. You have the Boca Palace, the capital always looked different. Now it's actually alongside the fact that you have so now I'm suspecting that Kislev might eventually, just like Norsca got its own faction, I'm wondering if Kislev will eventually get its own faction. It would definitely be pretty cool if it did. It's just speculation. I don't know, obviously, but if it did, it would be definitely be pretty cool, and I could see it happening. The other faction I think might happen eventually is Miragliano or Tilia, or one of the southern factions getting its own thing, because currently Miragliano is one of the unique attacks for the Norskins to destroy. So is somewhere in here, Secrets of War and Coin. It's actually a pretty solid upgrade too. I'm just gonna end turn here. Slowly but surely making some money, but once those mammoths come online, it's not gonna be much in the way of income there. I do wonder if the Empire will go save Altdorf. If it loses Altdorf to the Skull Smashers, that would be kind of pitiful. No, it looks like okay. It looks like it beat him off, which sucks for me. That means I'm not gonna get easy pickings there. In the meantime, I'm gonna slowly but surely. Can I actually? Actually, I think this still counts as this is Dietershaven. Yeah, I keep forgetting that there's some like weird. The territory here is like really long, which means I can actually theoretically be in my territory, recuperating losses. And in the meantime, I'm gonna swim on over with the Werkin. Still recruiting mammoths over here. I want to get the Hound's Favor maxed out because that will give me the Regiment of Renowned Hell Cannon Battery. I actually haven't gotten the opportunity to use them yet. So definitely a bit excited to see how those are. First dash, more money is always good, and some fortifications. And next step is going to be to go to war with the vampire counts. I'm thinking about building up Occupied Kislev. Because if I level up Occupied Kislev, that'll give me the ability to put up a recruiting structure, and I could fill this army up with some sort of unit. Maybe Skin Wolves. Because right now this is a pretty pitiful force. It's decent against decent against unarmored forces, but against Graveguard and stuff like that, they'll perform worse than poorly. This guy over here is a bit of a nuisance as well. How's this? Yeah, this place is still doing pretty poorly on the corruption. Definitely need to level things up a bit. And yeah. Waiting for things to go down. I'm not. I forget when the top notes declared war on me. To kill the beast. Unfortunately, I haven't really done the. That's another thing I haven't done. I haven't really done the quest battles yet. They're not entirely worthwhile in my opinion. I don't know. Maybe a little harsh, but let's see. I'll do Ruination of the Vampire Counts because I'll probably be at war with them fairly soon. What I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna march into the territory here. I'm going to enter raiding camp stands. Actually, this is making me some decent money. Over here, I did scrap the cavalry recruiting structure, and honestly, the Norscan cavalry is one of their big problems. Maybe not necessarily problems because they're not really supposed to be a cavalry faction, but it's definitely one of the things they're terrible at. Their horse units are pretty pitiful. The skirmishers. In quick match, they can sometimes be useful if you need to well, they're not even. They're useful in quick match for chaos, because chaos is no alternative. But against other skirmishers, honestly, against something like say Outriders or the Wood Elves with their Glade Riders, or compared to any of those units, I've simply found the Norscan unit selection to be, or the Norscan cavalry to be pretty pitiful, and their chariots aren't really all that useful because their chariots you don't have any Gore Beast chariots, so you're lacking the armor piercing, and while Frostbite is good on the chariots for melee, you're better off just using Skin Wolves if you want to run enemy skirmishers down. And if you have to catch enemy skirmish cav, then just use Frost Wolves. There's just very little, or try to, because it can be difficult, especially if it's a poison armed skirmish cav. But regardless, there's just very little use, I think, for the chariots in general. Oh, this is actually, I guess send the Marauders because it's a little more useful. I finally got my first round of mammoths done because I'm going to declare war on Marienburg. That'll drag Brettonia into war with me, but I don't care. Auto resolve here. Let's see how much I can sack this place for. I could raise it, of course. 10,000's okay. I'll take it. I'll take it. Raiders can't be choosers. So I'll get this guy Marauder Chariot. Soon I'll be able to get a Mammoth, and that'll be good. That'll put me in a good spot. And Dietershaven leveled up, which is awesome. I can there. Skin Wolf roaming south. I'm still. Public order is still pretty bad. The military presence is what's keeping this place afloat. But once I've got these 3 mammoths done, I'm actually going to be a bit. Well, I'm actually not going to have that much space. I just realized. for skin wolves. That kind of sucks. Huh. Yeah, that's kind of unfortunate. Oh well. We'll sort something out. Syok Draken's still not leveled. Frozen Landing though, that's more money. The growth here is slow, but once if I get one, I'll be able to get the public order building, and more importantly, I'll be able to get a structure in there. So I could declare war on the vampire counts, and I'm going to do that. I'm gonna declare war on them. This will put me at war with practically everybody, but that's okay. I'm not at war with Empire yet, and actually this should make me friendly with Empire. I found that vampire counts kind of suck in sieges because their units aren't cost efficient. They're generally inferior to other factions' units on a cost-to-cost basis. And when they don't have the backing of an heck, which they don't get, and I think they're definitely the faction that probably gets wrecked the most by the fact that you don't get a commander unit with your garrisons. If they, for example, got a necromancer in each garrison, that would probably make things a lot more interesting because then they could cast invocations of the heck and that sort of stuff. So there's a lot of people who hate me, but it doesn't really matter because unlike other factions, I'm not forced to defend anything. Are the board princes declaring war on me? I'm not giving them peace if they don't pay me for it. Assault units failure, that's cool. And now I'm going to raise Gorsel. And I don't really want to scrap the Regiments of Renown because now they take forever to recharge. Which obviously isn't the end of the world, but I'd rather have them up and ready to go all the time if possible. So I do have field by actually maxed that out. I didn't realize this is my logistical guy, I think. So let's see, I could invest in some sort of boost here. I could do Fury of the Hound. That seems like a solid choice. Otherwise Putrefying Ooze because of regeneration. Which is what I think I'll do. Eventually with Mammoth, once I have that up and running, I'll attempt to assassinate this guy. But where can Norsca doesn't have dedicated assassin heroes, so they're not the best at it. Well, okay, I was focusing. This guy actually did pretty good there. I could do Twisted Flesh. This is actually a really nice. Twisted Flesh is a really cool ability in quick play because you can greatly boost your units with that. But it's not as useful here, I don't think. I'm gonna get everything maxed out in this outpost. Dietershaven is slowly but surely becoming so corrupt that I'll be able to leave with this army. Wulfrik is just sitting here getting mammoths. And I could get Twisted Architecture I think is pretty pointless because Norscan buildings, thanks to their unique structures, are pretty cheap to begin with. So they're okay. Void Camp can recruit, well, I don't know. All these structures, it's a bit overkill since I'm not about to field a horde of wizards anyway. I could get another Iron Mine, which you can see all these reductions in costs, so that's pretty cool. And I can just auto-resolve this one. Graveguard would have definitely actually been a problem for this army. Cryptars and bats, not at all, but... it's tempting. I think I'm going to sack it. Then enter Raiding Camp Stance here. And then it'll take me another 2 turns probably, but that's okay. I could get Eye of the Gods, which will improve my weapon strength even further when on the offense, which is cool because I'll soon have a Mammoth in a few turns. And then I'll max out Takers of All. So in Raiding Stance, I'm actually going to be losing money next turn, I think, once, or maybe in 2 turns. Once Wulfrik's 2 turns, once Wulfrik's Mammoths are done. I don't know how close I am to this being, yeah, it's still -3. So I don't quite want to abandon this place just yet. Just succeed in assassinating, and I think that's going to be it for this turn. Empire's rather weak, and I don't really want to fight Empire if I can avoid it at the moment. I'd rather drive out the Vampire counts, kind of crush them, and then make a pincer move for the Empire once I've kind of driven off Brettonia and Marienburg. I'm not entirely sure what Marienburg is up to. Upkeep. Definitely do an upkeep because that is a big boost. Embed hero. I actually probably should have sent that guy out to scout. There's a Brettonian army. I don't really want to fight the Brettonians if I can avoid it, so I'm going to kind of back off. Lewin still seems to have it as a starting force, or still can own his starting units, which is a little unfortunate for me. Dietrich's having, though, slowly but surely getting leveled up, and with that huge boost to corruption, the debuff from that should pretty quickly clear up. One more turn until Wulfrik's done. I can get one more level on that. Still not quite done with Sjoktraken, still waiting 4 more turns. And I'm going to have to reinitiate the siege here on Beckhaven. I don't think they should have. They lose their... I really wish I had my Lord on a Mammoth. That would be really helpful here, but with no Graveguard, I shouldn't take too many casualties there. Graveguard is... If you play as Undead against Norsca, Graveguard is one of the best units to take against them. Especially in quick play, in my opinion. Not necessarily the best in... obviously, you will still want Spearmen or Cairn Wraiths or units like that to shut down Mammoths, because Graveguard will do terrible against them, but against the vast majority of units, whether those are Skin Wolves or... yeah, against basically every Undead unit, or sorry, basically every Norscan unit, Graveguard will perform very well. They'll even perform pretty decently against Marauder Champions. Not the most amazing against Marauder Champions with great weapons, because obviously they themselves don't have armor piercing, and they rely on their armor for survivability, but they do have high melee defense, so just a very, very strong unit to use, given their cost. Over here, I'm not entirely sure why my public order is so low. Well, let's drop it by 2. Hopefully in a few turns I'll get enough growth to get my public order in a more reasonable spot. It's okay. Slowly but surely getting up there. I can't really go after the Brettonians. Conduit of Chaos. I do like how, well, it's a bit of a love-hate thing. Sometimes the upgrades can be massive that you get for... and time to raise Beckhaven. For the Dark Gods. Into the fray. But, let's see, Takers of All, and I'll probably, let's see, I can't actually, Giants are pretty, I think Giants are one of the more useless units in the game. They're nice in the sense that every faction can get them, but they are a tier 5 unit, and in my opinion, usually the unique monsters unit the faction gets is more useful than Giants. Giants are definitely a bit of a limited unit in their utility, for most factions, I think. Wulfrik is done, which means I can shift him up. And does this count as Grayling Moot? Where does Grayling Moot begin? It's a little hard to see the borders sometimes, especially with the snow. I really hate how they chose yellow. I can get some armored Skin Wolves. I still want these guys. I still want my Marauders with his Javelins, because I want to be able to zone away enemy cavalry. Because AI likes to use skirmish cavalry, and while I feel plenty comfortable like just busting through my opponent's front line, I'd rather not be taking excessive damage to enemy skirmish units if it comes down to it, because of how more propensity AI has for abusing those. So I can't really go after Altdorf. I'm not entirely sure how much Empire still controls. I'm going to see. Brettonia controls 16 settlements, which is absolutely ludicrous. I almost never see Brettonia be this strong. Empire, though, is falling apart. They only control 5. Marienburg only controls 1. Borbons control 4, which I think is how many they start off with. Maybe they start off with 5, I don't know. The Empire Counts actually control 9, so.
You are not welcome in my
no non-aggression pact. What a shocker. But yeah, Brettonia is stupidly powerful. I did not realize that at all, and so I'm going to have to pull back with this army. I'm only one turn or one raised settlement away from... I'm actually going to... Let's see. Is there a place I can get great weapons? I'll level this place up. Huh. I'm trying to think if there's an area where I could recruit units with great weapons that's nearby, but the only area I have that is Mountains of Hell. How long does it take me to recruit globally? 5 turns. Because I'm not against recruiting globally. I'm completely willing to pay that extra price for a little bit more to get units, but 5 turns is a long time to wait. So what I'm gonna do is I'm actually gonna we're gonna get Fimir. And like I said, it's not a unit I'm fond of, but you know what? I'm not gonna waste time waiting for units that that are somewhere far away. They're gonna take forever to global recruit. So what we're gonna do is how am I gonna do this? Fimir takes 7 turns to recruit globally, so definitely gonna get Fimir here. I'll get 3 Fimir with great weapons. 4 Fimir with great weapons. I'm not actually sure. Let's see what's there. Well, okay, never mind. 2 Fimir with great weapons. Some generic Fimir. And then we'll global recruit some Marauders with great weapons. And we'll drop some Marauders with great weapons and some are just vanilla Marauders. Actually, we'll drop all these vanilla Marauders. They're pointless. Who am I kidding? So, you know, I'm basically never going to use. Get some Marauder Hunters. And then final unit I'll get just to stiffen up my front line a little bit, because right now it's a lot of Berserkers and some Marauders with great weapons. There we go. That's 5 turns. In 5 turns, this army will be an amazing army. And it's going to cost me a lot of dough, but that's okay. Over here, Skin Wolves will be done, and I'll be able to send Wulfrik south, and that'll be perfect. As you can see, the global recruiting is very expensive, but it's not really something I'm at all against. I think global recruiting is how you should be reinforcing your armies all in late game. Unless for whatever reason you are incredibly, horribly broke. You should be global recruiting all the time. And honestly, if you're so broke that you can't global recruit in late game, then you probably will struggle with local recruit as well. It's only double cost. The biggest problem is this long wait time, and so what I'm doing here is I'm just recruiting an entire new army almost from scratch and mixing and combining global recruiting with just a drawn out local recruit. You can obviously increase the amount of slots you have for local recruiting, but I don't really like that structure for Norska, and so I don't bother building it. So on we go. So Wulfrik is maxed out now, and he's able to march south. And actually, I'm going to load him up onto a ship, and I'm going to head east and go do my little quest here. I'm not entirely sure how the Empire guy here is actually reducing the, I think he's actually reducing the corruption, which is pretty cool. Since I don't necessarily care to have chaos corruption there. I just don't want to have, 1 more to 2 more turns, okay. I just don't want vampiric corruption. So Wulfrik's marching south. This army over here is kind of sad and can't really do very much. And I don't want to go to war with Empire just yet, like I said. Marienburg doesn't have much of a garrison, but I can't really do it with a 14 stack, of which half are like shoddy Marauder units. You know what? I'm gonna see if I can find raiding opportunities out in the west here, because you never know. Maybe there's a chance. And I also got to keep in mind that I have abundance of iron right now, which is reducing my upkeep, so my upkeep's gonna get a lot worse. Yeah, there we go. I'm probably gonna be broke once that wears off, because right now that's reducing. Like with Mammoths, for example, 15% discount on each is huge. That's 10. That's like 200. It's like give or take 300, I think, gold. Yeah, why not? 1,000 isn't a lot, but honestly, I'm not sure. It might be several turns more before I get anything. Skull Smasher got wiped, which is I'm perfectly okay with. This army over here leveling up, Root Marcher, which I think is mandatory basically, and Wulfrik gonna load up on a boat and sail across the ocean. And head over here, pick that up. This army over here is also taking forever. Unfortunately, maybe once Kislev levels up, I'll be able to invest in a recruiting structure there. I should be able to take Essen next turn. Can I cross over the Essen border? I can't. I was hoping to cross the Essen border and remain in, and enter a raiding camp stance, but that's not going to happen, so I'll have to raid Essen next turn. Palladium seems to be under siege, which I don't really care about the Empire's troubles. That's perfectly okay if they're having issues, but you definitely want to keep tabs on where your opponent's armies are, or your enemy armies are. Cologne, of course, being faction capital, has a massive garrison, so I'm not going to be doing anything against that. And I think the first round of Fimir has been recruited, so definitely want to keep tabs on how much money I'm going to be losing pretty shortly. Especially with the fact that I'm not really sacking or raiding or doing anything like that at the moment. So yeah, on we go. Wulfrik is practically all the way there. I'm gonna get all the way to here, unload, and then hopefully, I don't know how far, I'm not sure how far, if at all, I'll be able to really march. But I think it's 10,000 for, I won't be able to march at all. But I think it's 10,000 for beating Frigistrex or whatever it is. And so you can see this recruiting 2 more turns and I'll be done with all this recruiting, which is awesome. And I'm going to see how, if I sail all the way around to here, because there is a city here, this Languille or whatever. Yeah, Languille. So if I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit them next turn and make myself some money. Chaos, of course, doesn't come with Norska. So the way Norska works a little differently from other factions as far as Chaos is concerned. Chaos will only come after I've beaten all the after I've gotten enough what is it? Enough allegiance with a god to max it out and beaten their champion when he comes for me. So obviously that isn't the case right now, and so yeah. Forget. Did I just move this army? Oh no, still have max range. I want to see if there's. I'm a little worried if there's vampire counts somewhere around. I could be in deep trouble. Okay, there aren't. Auto resolve. Vampire count garrisons are some of the worst in the game, as I mentioned, and honestly, and without a garrison structure, they're even worse than some of the worst in the game. Sack, because I really need the money, and I'm gonna enter raiding. I really like how you can enter raiding camp stance, because that means that not only are you making money, but you're also. Actually, it looks like I'm taking. Do these guys still take attrition? Because normally. Interestingly enough, I think for most factions, raiding stance prevents attrition from affecting you. So it's interesting that Norska seems to take attrition still while raiding, which is a little disheartening. I don't know, not a game changer, but necessarily. But I had hoped to enter raiding camp, but I definitely like how they can march full tilt and get somewhere and enter raiding camp stance. It's pretty cool. Or raiding stance, sorry. Ruination of the Vampires, which is pretty cool. I'll just get the outsearch. It doesn't really matter. At this point, I am running a handful of Fimir, so it's not. And bye Essen. And you can see these are really weak garrisons. Bats aren't necessarily a terrible support unit, but they're very weak in straight up combat. Zombies, of course, they're technically the militia unit, but they're a lot worse than any other faction militia unit, even unshielded spears. And that will.
Your allegiance and devotion is unmatched.
So Azric the Mazekeeper, who is actually Azric the Mazekeeper is the guy you get if you complete. Yeah, there we go. Champion of the Eagle. So, and I just got the achievement. Every dog has its day, because I've not done Corn before. Last time around I did. Can I get lightning strike on this guy? Last time around when I did this, I for some reason it messed with my camera. But last time around I did this, I did Zinch, because I really wanted the reduced upkeep. And so these guys, the challengers, will actually march straight to me, which is nice. It means they're not even going to, unless this has changed in like a recent patch, they will come straight for me and just come fight me, which is perfect. It means I don't have to waste my time chasing after him. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take Wulfrik and just, honestly, Wulfrik's army is really strong. These guys, I don't know what they have in those armies. They have Chaos Warriors and Chosen. So honestly, that's not bad. considering a lot of these units here, even Wulfrik's army are marauders. But with those mammoths, it shouldn't be a problem. I'm losing a little bit of money, but I'm not in the most terrible spots here. Gonna enter march stance and unload, and I should be able to destroy Langwia. Yeah, this should be good. And it doesn't really matter at this point. I'm actually gonna you know what? Why not? I'll establish an outpost. That sounds pretty decent, given that Corone doesn't have anything there, and I can then fortify it somehow. Well, could I fortify? I'm actually gonna build the recruiting structure here, so that way I can build more units and roll with that and get my working up. I'm gonna get Twisted Flesh, and yeah. This seems to be going all pretty well. This army is almost done recruiting. One more turn and they'll be all ready to roll. I do think there's optimal builds with Norska, but you have to set up your... But I'm not a fan of marching around, going to the recruiting structures and all that sort of stuff. So over here, that guy's going to be bothering me. This champion is but the challengers just march straight to me, so that shouldn't be too much of a problem. I'm not sure if I'll get the cannons on Wulfrik or just put them on a random army. I don't know what Lewin's doing. He's offering me peace. I'm not going to give him peace, though, because I want... I'm not really worried about this single army. Castle Artois. I don't know if this changed. No, it looks like he's ignoring Winterfire. These guys will just march straight to me. And it's just a bit interesting. They completely ignore the potential to fight, but I'm okay with that. So I just made some money from achieving allegiance, and what I'm actually going to do, I'm going to go fight Frigastrex, Scion of the Void, and I think this might be, yeah, I think this is going to be probably the last turn, because and we'll leave the challengers for the next episode, because that is, I definitely want to fight those battles out, even if it's an easy auto-resolve, just to kind of show you guys what it's like, and, because you can auto-resolve the battles, but it's pretty fun to fight them out. It does get, well, I don't mind auto-resolving, and there's definitely some battles where it's very tedious without it. I don't know, it's fun. It's fun to challenge yourself a little bit. So,
Trex is here for the taking, my lord. The weather is fierce in these climes, and is worsened further by the monster's presence. You must brave the storm, but be mindful of your approach. When you decide to charge the beast, the extreme winter conditions will slow the movement.
The berserkers here are practically worthless. Most of my infantry here, except the guys with throwing weapons, are pretty worthless. Because Frigastrex does cast storms, which will be incredibly disruptive, incredibly frustrating to deal with. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to drop the berserkers all the way in the back. Wulfrik, and this ship is so tiny. I'll put him here, actually. I'll throw him with the main infantry blob. I'm going to put the hunters with throwing spears here and towards the back. I'm going to move the berserkers forward. I don't want the hunters getting caught by Frigastrex, because they're going to be doing a lot of DPS to him. He doesn't have the greatest of armor. He's still only a frostworm armor-wise. He just has boatloads of HP. 9,400 compared to the usual 3,400. So he has about 6,000 more. But I don't think he has... The stats aren't much better than... His stats aren't much better otherwise than the regular. Obviously he has more damage, but that's practically irrelevant on such a crazy unit. And then I can combine... Wulfrik still doesn't have Hunter Champions, unfortunately. I don't think... Does he? No, he might have gotten it recently. No, he did. So, Wulfrik is still no Hunter Champions, but that's okay. And I'm going to put my Skin Wolf Working back here, just kind of as a flex force. Because there will be reinforcements, of course. So, just going to enter battle and just march straight at my opponent. Trolls, of course, are not immune to psychology, or they are immune to fear, of course, but that's not going to help them. Not against the Goon Squad over here. I want to keep the fight away from my infantry if possible, though. I don't... the only units I'm okay with getting tangled are... the only infantry I'm okay with getting in the fight there are the... As you can see, those trolls are getting destroyed. Oh, and here comes the now they will charge, which is okay though. But they are doing a lot of damage, even to the mammoths. Mammoths are tanky, of course, but Not that tanky. I'm hoping to crush these worms as quickly as I can. This mammoth over here is getting pummeled, but Frigate Strikes, oh, just look at him go down like a... Or is that Frigate Strikes, or is that the other guy? Oh, that's another one. Never mind, I lied. That's not Frigate Strikes. I thought Frigate Strikes was going down super quick. He should go down pretty quick, though. Reinforcements are coming. Of course, Wulfrik has a pretty crazy combat stats. He's, even given the fact that he's on a mammoth, ridiculous weapon strength, an anti-large bonus, and just absolutely ludicrous. And poor Frigate Strikes here really doesn't stand a chance, even despite the fact that this mammoth is getting a bit beat up. So despite the fact that my Marauders took quite a beating, I'll be able to send my Skin Wolves out to the flank, and I'm going to send Wulfrik to shock these guys, or shock those guys off the battlefield. Most of Wulfrik's abilities, unfortunately, are pretty worthless in this situation, because let's see if I can get to Frigate Strike. I'm not even gonna bother throwing javelins at Frigate Strikes. I'll go after his lackeys, and I do have Spirit Leech on this guy. I'm actually gonna overcast so that I can get that extra range. That's the only in general, in my opinion, overcasting Spirit Leech is pretty worthless. Just kind of, because Spirit Leech is in my opinion, overcasting Spirit Leech is pretty worthless usually, because all it does is improve your range, it improves the range on it. But Frigate Strikes is almost down there. There we go. And now the trolls are just gonna rout. The trolls have no morale, so or some of the trolls will rout at least. But it does look like they're... I think that if the AI was better about cycle charging, this would actually be a lot more dangerous than it is. Because the Frostworms could definitely maul mammoths, but as it is, they really can't. And that's definitely a trick in quick match that works pretty well, is the fact that it's a pretty nifty trick in quick match, is that you can cycle charge mammoths pretty effectively. Might not be an optimal strategy to cycle charge against mammoths, but it's definitely a pretty solid one. If you have a Flying Lord, for example, if you have, say, Karl Franz or Boris, or if it's a mount that can get up into the air fairly quick, it's not as useful with. And I think the javelins here actually on the mammoths are actually doing quite a bit of work as well. But it's not optimal with a Lord on, say, a dragon, because dragons take forever to get up in the air, and of course, with the amount of frostbite Norsca can potentially bring, you might suffer some pretty disastrous consequences if... I'm not entirely sure where my other Skin Wolves went. They were chasing someone all the way off the field. Crazy. But it can have some pretty disastrous consequences if you get caught on the ground with frostbite or something. You'll just be dead because the mammoth has so much HP. But if they're either not bringing a lot of frostbite, or if you're confident that you can cycle charge them, then it's definitely a very, very, very strong possibility you can just cycle charge to death. And unfortunately, I didn't lose anything there. I lost a handful of Marauders, a handful of Skin Wolves, but by zoning everything away and keep making the fight mostly the monsters against the monsters, it went pretty well. And it's hilarious that if I actually could slave captives, I'm good at replace my losses with trolls. I'll sacrifice them because money's money. You do get a little bit of money from that. You get 10,000 Ancient Frostworm scale, and which is pretty solid. It gives you frostbite. Actually, that's interesting. I actually think I'll see if I can throw that on Wulfrik. It's pretty cool. Details, Crown of Command. Crown of Command is pretty worthless. I'll give him an Ancient Frostworm scale. Given that Wulfrik doesn't have Frenzy, I'm gonna give him Frenzy. Seems better. Sword of Might. I don't have the Sword of Torgald, obviously, because I haven't gotten around to that. I give him extra melee attack, because that'll make his mammoth better. And yeah, that's going to be it for Wulfrik. I'm going to rush him in here, heal his army up on the Tower of Cracks, so that way he's ready to go once I have to deal with all those champions. But I don't want to auto-resolve battles, like I said, and I don't want to make this too long of an episode. Be trying your guys' patience with that. So see. Have I not quite at Hunter of Champions, which is a pity. If I had gotten one more point, if I had one more point, I could have definitely been. Yeah, I definitely want Hunter of Champions on Wulfrik. And I think that after I beat this guy, who's probably gonna be my first victim, he seems to be a little closer. Then I'll definitely go and do all that stuff. Let's see. So here I can recruit some new units. Obviously, these aren't the best of units. But I can Marauder Javelin. Interestingly enough, the order of units is to be a little different. You get the Marauder Hunters with throwing axes are first here rather than second. So the tiering is a little different, which is weird. But I'm okay with that. This isn't ideal from a holding the place perspective, but let's see, what do I need? I'm gonna get extra. This isn't really an optimal army or anything like that. I'm not going for some. And I can actually get the Iceforged Legion in this army. Kind of. I don't really care for it to have it on Wulfrik. Wulfrik's going all mammoth mode, so you know, we'll try the Iceforged Legion here because chances are, this will just be a very Regiment of Renown heavy army. I'll try the Cold Voider in here as well. It's okay. Need to put these guys somewhere, and I want to try that Iceforged Legion at some point. So we'll definitely, hopefully, get a chance to try that next time around. So at this point, we're going into the lake. We're definitely starting to ramp things down. There's only a handful of things left before the campaign is beat. We've already completed our allegiances. We've destroyed Wintertooth. We just have to defeat the challengers, which shouldn't be too hard. And then Empire and Brettonia, but Empire's already practically annihilated, as Empire tends to do. We get destroyed. Gonna enter raiding camp stance here. I want to have everything be where I want to be be in the places I want to be at before ending the broadcast here or the recording. Dietershaven though, stabilizing, and this army's up and running, which is perfect. That means I don't have to wait for them anymore. Actually, well, let's see. Is my Conduit of Chaos upkeep? I still have abundance of Iron for 4 turns, so not losing too much. I'm definitely going to need to pull Wulfrik's army out of the north very quickly once I'm finished with beating the champions, because otherwise the loss of money will be huge. One of the problems I'm definitely finding though with Norse Scan, like we can see, we're almost done here, but there's very little use because so many of these bonus abilities, the Demise of Tilia, Secrets of Worn Coin, all these dwarves are very far out of the way. Karazakrak, and you almost never fight dwarves early on, with the exception of the Krakadrak dwarves, but those you usually fight before you've reached this point in research. Greenskins are completely out of the way for the most part, except for the handful of random spawns, but Blackcrack is far away, and even Drakenhof is far away. Like, with the exception of Altdorf and Corone, which you have to conquer usually to beat the campaign, you just don't really make much use of these techs at the end here, because unless you decide to drag the campaign out for a longer period of time to kind of do farming achievements, essentially, then to beat the campaign, there's no incentive to do most of this technology, which I think is a bit of a pity with the Norskins. Definitely though, for obviously if you're doing achievement farming, it's more useful. But as it is, most of these is just so far out of the way, which is a little unfortunate. But yeah, we'll definitely be continuing the cast next time around, and that might be the last one in the actual camp. Well, probably not, because we still have to kill Brettonia and Empire, which is pretty huge. But it'll be one of. But we're definitely starting to reach the end of things here. Starting to pull all our armies into position for kind of the end times here. As usual, I do hope you guys did enjoy this video. If you did, be sure to leave a like and subscribe down below. As usual, if you have any comments, criticism, any questions about campaign, if you have any questions about Norska, looking for any advice, or if you have any suggestions, or if there's any stuff you would like to see done, be sure to post those down in the comments. I'll respond as soon as I can. And Arguelon's tutorial should be coming along fairly shortly. Which, of course, yeah, it's quite a bit separate from Wood Elves. The Arguelon faction definitely plays a bit differently from Wood Elves, so they'll be getting their own tutorial, and I think a pretty normal. It won't be a shorter one like the ones for Carcassonne or Bordelot compared to Brettonia and stuff like that. It's probably going to be a full-length tutorial. And yeah, going to be doing Sanctus Reach, playing through that orc campaign. And yeah, I think that's basically it for how things are going. And so yeah, if you like this video, if you liked, if you enjoyed this, be sure to subscribe. I do post up daily updates. It's usually cycling through the different things I'm covering, as well as Quake matches, which is daily. And yeah, I appreciate you guys for watching, and see you in the next one. Bye for now.